Hello, ladies and gentlemen, games, peoples, geeks, freaks, goblins, whatever you are. It doesn't matter to me. Anyway, today it's time for the joke come true.
Oh God, we literally spent. Well, you guys spent a lot of time. I only had the last week.
It's time for Blunt Force Gamers After Dark. Yeah, we played. We played several XXX games as recommended by Kazurkan. He wanted to do reviews of mods that make Skyrim a little bit more
Risque.
interactive. So MXR already does that, so I was like, hey, let's just play some indie XXX titles and review them. And for that extra special flair, we're going to give them respect, decorum,
Legitimate reviews.
So let's go ahead and roll that intro.
Feeling tired at the gaming table? Want to hear foul-mouthed jackasses poke fun at gaming companies when they screw up? Want an honest, street-level opinion from a team of gamers that call it like it is? Then Blunt Force Gamers may be the podcast for you.
Listener discretion advised.
Alright, so it's Kazurkan,
Greetings.
the Moniker,
Hello.
Darth Blasphemous,
Hail to the dark side.
and me. And if you are under the age of 18, don't let your parents catch you. That's all I can say.
Legally, we are required to tell you that if you are under the age of 18, please do not play any of these games.
Yeah, that's right, because extreme adult content coming up.
We can't take another party van.
It won't go well for you.
No, it won't. This entire episode is going to be a party van. So we are going to review our games. So what game did you play, Blasphemous?
Well, I figured I'll represent the normies here, alright? So I went for a mobile game. Alright? And I went for the most normie. It is legit advertised on a bunch of other games. It's a Passion
Blast.
Puzzle.
How about you, Moniker? Moniker?
Huh?
What about you?
Oh, well, the one that I spent the most time on was a game called, I think it was A Usual Day. It was an unfinished product. This guy had released it. I think it was originally part of this dude's Patreon. And so he released part of it to, like, the general audiences. That or one of his patrons went behind his back and just uploaded it. That, and there were a couple other ones, but, honestly, I can describe what they were, but I was too horny to look at the names, so I didn't catch them, but I'll describe them to you.
Oh, well, that's what we're here to do is review games. Kazurkan, what game you review?
I played a little bit of Monster Girl Quest. It's a free little Japanese RPG style game mixed with visual novel and a whole lot of tax.
How am I not surprised that you would be the one to choose a game that would give you crusty socks? Okay, I played a game called Takeover. It is a independent game, and apparently very common in the genre of running around and slipping roofies to people to alter them to your diabolical desires. So, first category we're going to go over here is graphics. And Takeover had, I would say, okay graphics. It was all done in DAZ 3D, which is a poser program. You basically take 3D animated models and pose them around in various ways, and dress them up. It's like Ken and Barbie dolls, basically, for lewd stuff that you're not supposed to do according to their terms and conditions, but, well, shit, people do it anyway. What got me about the graphics in this game, however, was the fact of the color spectrum the author was using. It was a lot of dull tones, a lot of sepia, lots of kind of like frost blues. So the game, graphically speaking, is supposed to be in a socialist utopia. You know, everybody has a job, everybody's regimented, everybody at least gets their bread and water every day. It feels very USSR Russia. You know, it feels very much that way, and the graphics, yes, they do stand out, but on the same token, the coloring palette that was used is the best part. So graphically, it was the same as any other poser program or DAZ 3D program. just the coloring that was used really set the tone. It really did. So as you play the game, it actually feels oppressive, and I'll get to that later on when I get into gameplay and music, of how oppressive this game felt and why you actually kind of wanted to run around slipping roofies to people. We're going to go roundtable on this one, actually.
Someone's going to take that clip out of context, dude.
Somebody's going to take that clip out of context, yes.
We do not condone the use of anything that would change someone's opinion without their consent.
Consent's a big deal, actually.
It is consent is a huge deal. Like I said, this formula of gameplay is actually really strangely common. And I should have put down beforehand when we were taking notes that we should actually introduce what the fucking game is about.
I think
Except
doing
puzzle.
that as an intro before we get to our review, just like you had just done about that kind of stuff. So I believe Kaz was going next, so give us a quick rundown, synopsis of the game, and then give us the graphical description.
Yeah.
Not overly graphic, just what they want.
So, Monster Girl Quest is this extremely Japanese style, almost Final Fantasy, like some of the older ones, Final Fantasy style combat system. The idea is that the world is populated by monster girls and humans. And yes, normal human women. So, part of it is this dichotomy where the balance of power is, and the fact that most of these monsters feed on semen and need it to breed. It's very blunt about this.
God bless the Japanese for putting all that time and effort to having, even if it's just the stupidest premise for a plot, the amount of detail and work they'll put into it, just God bless them.
Because
It
whey
is-
protein doesn't work. They need all organic.
Yeah. Graphically, it is very visual novel, and it's got the traditional Japanese censorship around genitalia. Yeah, it's cute and it's funny like that, but it's still very...
Tiny little pencil graphite thin censor bar over the tip of the dick. Yeah, it's fine.
No, actually, it's got the full pixelation,
Okay.
which is kind of annoying, but as it goes. Graphically, it's a very bright, popping world, a lot of static backgrounds. The fights, depending on the stage or the moveset being used by the monsters, you get additional graphics. There's an encyclopedia and all that stuff. Very bright, kind of cheerful colors, vibrant in its nature for all of the enemies, most of the backdrops, and I think the only thing that's really strange about it for really gameplay is anytime you're talking to villagers, you get a blue or a pink silhouette, and all the rest of the gameplay is in a text box underneath.
I am error.
Ermac.
There's a character it is the misbegotten of a Lamia.
Alright.
It is a snake head with human legs and a pair of panties, and that's it.
I'm scared.
This is like the reverse mermaid, where it's like a fish from the bottom down.
Nope.
How about you, Moniker? What do you got?
Well, a usual day, it was your average anime dating sim, your, nameless, faceless protagonist who goes to, a boarding school on, a fucking resort island, works at the mall, and there's, a choice of, I think, 4 or 5 cute girls to woo. Fuck. And,
Of course it's a dating sim.
Yeah, and they each have their own thing, to help you, get into their pants. One of them is, she likes a smart guy, and there's, part of the gameplay is there's various things to do, you can go to class and, quote, study, or the library and, quote, study, or there's, a gymnasium, and you can, get your swole level up. It's... really-
Quote, lift.
Yeah. No, it was play basketball.
Oh,
Yeah.
So you
It was-
actually do something on the island.
Yeah, and if you do that enough times, eventually the girls will, approach you. And, let's see, one of them was, a cam girl. One of them was developing and selling aphrodisiacs. Hint, hint.
Ooh, chemist.
Yeah. Let's see, one of them was, a goody two-shoes. She was, a school cook or some shit like that. And another one ran, an online gambling thing out of her room. So,
Yeah, because that's legal.
Yeah. I guess in terms of, graphics and shit, it looked fine to me. There wasn't a whole lot of, graphics in the conventional sense, because it was all just still images for the most part.
It seems a lot of these games are still images
yeah.
so far.
So I mean, that being said, I mean the art looked nice. I mean it wasn't like that completely potato. Like it's not a professional manga artist. It looked good. It looked good. Let's see, another one I played. I didn't catch the name, but this one was interesting because you played like a CEO of some company, and I guess some bitch from your past, comes in demanding a job and shit, and she thinks you're a janitor at first, and
ironically, the game that I was playing, Takeover, you start as a janitor.
That's funny. But the graphics in this were really good. It started out with the 2D sprites, almost kind of like a, I guess I would equate just the visual style to maybe like a mid to late 2000s Pokemon game, just in terms of aesthetic. But it was really weird because when it got to the actual fucking and stuff, it was the full 3D models. So I don't know. That's kind of a weird tone shift if you ask me. But I mean, it was fine.
I guess that brings us to Mr. Blasphemous over there.
Yes, representing the normies today. So,
you're on your cell phone right now.
Yeah, because I'm still playing it because it has that addictive quality to it. That's the only thing. So this is one of those the symbol mobile games, and then it's a dating sim. So you have two major options. You go on a walk, which is the term they use. A date, what have you. A lot of the box text is very suggestive, be rougher today, oh, when I'm in your arms I feel like I'm flying, stuff like that. So you solve the puzzles, and then you get pictures that are like them in different costumes or their underwear or something, that kind of stuff. I haven't gotten farther in the game because it gets really difficult right away with that, because the other thing you're supposed to do in the game, which this all costs you energy points, your stamina, is you have to converse with them. And the more you talk with them, the easier it is to complete the puzzle. So you go through 4 little talking sections, which are all pretty much the same, and you have to get the right answer, which if you click on it and there's a smiley face, you did the right one. If it has a blah face, you did the not really the correct answer. But if you say the completely wrong thing, then the quest gets harder. And it's one of those classic dating sims where it's I'm going on vacation, I'm on this island, and oh look, I'm just talking to all these chicks. My favorite one on there though has to be the female police officer. She's like, yeah, I'm hitting on you. Something better happened. I'm just like, oh my god, this is awesome. The game overall for looks is made through the Unity, which I guess is a system they use for creating mobile games.
Unity is a system that a lot of game developers will use. It's basically a pre-constructed set of tools for that. There are a lot of people who will diss on people on Unity-based games because of that, but Unity itself is not the problem. It's the laziness of the makers that is.
Yeah, and this one I feel was put together pretty well. Graphically, they're all right. Animation, I mean, this isn't exactly if you're looking for a good Doshin or anything like that, good hentai manga. But overall, I'd say graphically it's okay enough for a mobile game that you just tool around with when you're bored. The whole sense of it is it's one of those ones where it's a dating sim, definitely. So you're just trying to get on these girls' good side. A lot of the text is very suggestive, and the puzzles are supposed to be when you're going for a walk, air quotes.
Going for a walk.
I'm gonna start using that pickup line. Hey, baby, you want to go for a walk?
Yeah. Down on the interurban trail.
Oh yeah. That's definitely one of the things about the game is it's very, I want to say low T, very low testosterone game.
It sounds very casual.
Super casual. But I figured if we wanted to get good reviews, we wanted to cover a spectrum. So representing the normies.
Of course, because, the diversity in our sexual reviews of games are our strength.
Yeah, sure.
Yes, whatever.
But
all right, Goblin, you can quit lying through your foot.
But yeah, it's one of those things where I just want to do something a little different than everybody else. And with that, I found that this game, the mechanics of it work out pretty well. Graphically, it's appealing, but it's super low energy. You can tool around this game, and if you completely change the graphics over to something else where, you finish puzzles to collect pictures of Pokemon, it would be the same. And I really felt underwhelmed by it. because the color palette is super twee and definitely vacationing on a island where everything's bright and colorful and stuff. And it's all right from there. And there's different levels, different sections that give you different backgrounds. But whenever you're doing the puzzle portion, the background is always a evocative picture of the female, but none of it is like full nudity. Like they're advertisements, because that's how I found this game. Was they kept advertising it on other games I play. The Dominoes game I play or stuff like that. You get all those ads. It's like Final Fantasy Empire shit like that.
Yeah.
You would see this, and I'm like, this is super normie. I kind of want to check it out for this review we're doing.
Super normie.
Yeah.
All right, so
I think porn games just kind of suck in general. Honestly, they do. There's only so much variety you can bring,
There is only so much variety you can bring, and I did Blasphemous over here, I did a spectrum of games just to review this one, and graphically, yeah, there's only so much you can do.
Yeah, my first experience with any sort of porn games are like the old Flash ones, from Newgrounds and
yes.
shit. Where it's already just like mid-fucking, and there's like that little meter on the side that,
You just got to get it to a certain point.
Yeah, and then just, then you just get to plow her up and down the...
Yeah, you just took me back to Ganguro Girl, which I was playing on, Newgrounds.com.
Now, what was that Zelda one?
The Zelda one?
Oh, like The Legend of...
I know there was the one that had the little...
I must have missed that one.
The chick with the stone helmet thing on.
Midna.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Oh, dude, she has been bait since she came out for that sort of shit.
Yeah. But yeah, it was that one, and I was in middle school, man, and that game was just... It was QuickTime events before QuickTime events.
Okay, well, if we're gonna go into history here, I'm just gonna fucking atom bomb y'all.
Custer's Revenge.
No, Cuskin's Revenge.
Custer's Revenge.
Oh, Custer's? No, actually that was still slightly before me. No, my first porn game technically was Leisure Suit Larry on an 8086 PC.
Dude, they're coming out with a new Leisure Suit Larry game.
Let's hope they upgraded the graphics, because that shit was almost 4-bit.
Yeah, definitely if we're talking graphics, our first experiences with these suggestive games, pornographic games, they were all independently made, and the graphics usually were shit. I mean, some of them started getting better around the time I was in school, but I'm not the youngest one here. So, I definitely have to say the earlier stuff when I found it was god fucking awful.
Well, actually, on that note, there's another one that I did a playthrough recently that was hand-drawn, and it's an alien invasion game. You basically play a spore from space. Like I said, the theme of just walking in and taking over people is pretty fucking common on the side I was on. And you play an alien spore, and you land on the planet, you just start taking people over and modifying them. And all of this was hand-drawn, anime style, and it was obviously a Western artist who was doing it. However, the art was actually pretty quality.
See, hand-drawn is this fun hit-and-miss minefield. You get, most of the time, hand-drawn's not gonna be super great, but you do find those gems, and holy fuck, are they worth polishing.
Yeah, and this one was actually good enough to be visually appealing.
Did quite a bit of polishing myself back in the day.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so let's get back on topic. The next category is sound/music. So sound quality, music quality, and that's where this game really shines. The author was using open source material, and it was, again, piano music, which in its own right is creepy. Yes, Jiggles, I might add a piano soundtrack for you. Anyway,
Dun, dun, dun.
dun dun dun. The folder, I looked it up, because you can crack open these files really super easy, and I looked through it, and there's about 8 songs in there that are all open source piano music, but the volume on it is really low, so it's just enough that you get it there and you can just zone out, but it's not so low that you don't notice it, and it's not so loud that it just overwhelms the damn game. So the music quality, actually, in that aspect, was also very well done in this game. Because you can just sit back, relax, and as long as there's not any background noise, and it's... The choice of tracks also is really important, because they were also soothing and calm. So that added on to the previous category of graphics. So you feel like you're already playing in an impressive environment. You got random checks for papers. When you're going to work, you'll get stopped by cops and be checked for your papers.
You pay all your papers?
Well, this is a socialist utopia, so I don't know if the German accent is right.
Glory
Well,
towards
there was
Stotska.
the Eastern Bloc.
That's true. Anyway, the music adds to this, which is why I put music as the second category here, because, fuck, I don't know, dude. Just when I was playing this, at first visually it was like, okay, I feel oppressed. I have a reason why I want to build an army of slave girls for my revolution, which kind of doesn't make sense, but whatever. And then the music gets tacked on top of that, and these two categories together add to the immersion factor of pretty much any game. If the music isn't right, it throws you out. It's like playing Final Fantasy VIII and getting the Ragnarok and getting the super heroic music when the world is about to be destroyed. It doesn't work.
Doesn't feel right.
It doesn't feel right. But in this one, the combination of graphics with the sepia tones and the cool blues, along with the piano music that was just enough to get your attention and enough tracks not to be repetitious, it just kept you lulled into playing the game for longer than you expected.
Wish I could experience a porn game with that much immersion.
It was actually really... as far as immersive, I'll get into story and writing later on, because that's where it really hits you. It does.
I like a little connection to my characters before,
No,
Holding
actually,
the shit
no,
out of
there's
them.
connection afterwards. Like, the characters have backstories, and as you're playing along, when you break down their mental defenses, you learn more about the person that you're dealing with, and in some cases, you feel kind of bad.
Your character wakes up the next morning, goes into the kitchen, and she's there making breakfast, and you're just like, oh god, you're here!
No, actually, I hate to say the name, because stuff, but my favorite was Celia,
Okay.
which is one of the first characters you encounter, and she is a total cold-hearted, just frosty bitch.
Frosty bitch.
She is an ice queen, straight up, and as you learn more about her after, you break down those barriers of communication between you and Celia, you learn the reason why she's such a stone-hearted bitch. And it's just kind of like, ouch. Because you're actually beforehand on the same team, just you were playing in different roles for the government, which is why she was being such a bitch, because of the amount of pressure she was under constantly, or boom, to the gulag.
I wonder how much time is lost by the developers making porn games because they just start beating off to their own material.
That's a question I have. Anyway, before I get too much further into that, I'm going to pass the torch on to Kazurkan
Okay.
so he can get into the sound and music on his game.
So, sound and music, being that it's a mostly text-based game, almost entirely, the ambient music is the soundtrack. All of it. And it's pretty, it has the right feel for this sort of heroic journey to build a world in which monsters and people can actually coexist and not kill each other, right?
Yeah.
Or, fuck each other to death.
Or start,
however you want to talk
Snoo
about
snoo.
or give a new term to sperm bank.
I volunteer as tribute.
it. Yeah, right? Now, I've noticed that there are a couple of very scripted events with one of your...
The table is already sticky.
Well, Kaz did get it all wet earlier.
That's true.
Oh, we had fun. Continuing, however, some of the cutscenes that exist are fully voice acted
Really?
in Japanese. The game itself is a Japanese game, and so I had to download extra files to basically patch it into English, right?
Yeah. Can I add something on that note, Cass?
Sure.
I just think it's funny, whether it be a hentai game or just a regular run-of-the-mill hentai, the difference in dedication Japanese voice actors have versus American voice actors, because they go full dedication when they do all those moans and just pure, lustful enjoyment. It's amazing. And then Americans are like, oh, yeah, give it to me. Oh.
God, you just reminded me of all those old hentais that were dubbed that I watched when I was younger, and oh my god, dude.
Maybe it's because the Japanese have work ethic and they know they're working a fun job they shouldn't take seriously. I don't know.
Maybe.
I mean, there's a lot of that, but as it goes, the soundtrack is chipper, it's bright, it's this hopeful hero's journey, right? And a few of those things in general, but, the battle music feels like there's tension. It doesn't feel like this manic, button-mashing horror blend of...
Yeah.
It feels like this epic sort of fantasy feeling, which I think was quite fun. It suited the art style very nicely, and it made it feel like the world lived a little bit with the way that it sounded.
Right on.
It's actually fun to note right now that I played a dark, depressing game that felt, claustrophobic. As you played the game, you feel like just hope is all lost. And here he is over here playing a bright, chipper game where everything's all fun and fancy and pretty.
Oh, you think...
Well, except for Vince.
You think that's all bright and twee, dude. Just wait till we get around to me. But I believe Moniker's up next.
Not much really pretty along the lines with Kaz here. Not a lot of, it was your average dating sim. So, real bright, chipper music, real upbeat, for like most 90% of the game. And then like, if it did finally get to something sexual, it would kind of take that, kind of slow, almost jazz sound to it. That's really about it. There wasn't actually any sort of like, like moaning or voice acting or any sort of that shit. So
Boring.
Yeah. So the sound quality, I guess it's fine. But then again, it's still an unfinished product, so maybe,
the author has a Patreon for it, and last I checked, and this is kind of a side note, but almost every maker of these games who has a Patreon takes forever to do an update or anything of that order, so...
Going back to my question...
Given that it's typically like one person doing the work. It's
typically one person, but I've seen some Patreons that are raking in well over $2,000 a month, and 6 months later they'll come out with an update.
Dude, I think we should... if we start going into like Kickstarter or crowdfunding controversies now, we'd be here for another few hours.
That is true.
Yeah. But the second game, it was... sorry, I'll finish real quick. Second game was fine, usual kind of, again, same anime music. But when it actually got to the 3D models, plowing each other, there was actually, all the nice little slaps and squirts and moaning. So, but again, it was all the open source, just, excuse me, sound bites and shit. So it was fine.
That's what we do at Blunt Force Gamers. We burp on the microphone.
That's what we do.
So, this game. Passion Puzzle's soundtrack is total dog shit. Just saying, it was so bad I turned it off and I make sure my phone is on mute. Because it was so bad. Like, dude, I could have been playing Pokemon. Every time you do the talking to them portion of the game, which makes your puzzles easier, or supposed to, it was like I was playing Pokemon. Alright? Just random sound X goes with this picture. Random sound Y goes with that one. And the overall music was just that super cheapo background Angry Birds style music. And I'm just like, alright, you know what? I can't. I turned it off. Like, day one. I made it through about an hour of that shit in the background. Was like, nope. And it was, oh my god, it doesn't really fit with anything. So you would be in the club is one of the places to go and meet up with the girls or whatever. And it didn't change the music. It just changed the background. And if there was any change to the music, I couldn't fucking tell because it was all garbage. Like, sound quality is a big thing. Like, I remember the days back when I was a kid, finding hentai for the first time. And they would have these weird-ass soundtracks and this terrible English dub for all the erotic sounds, and I was like, this is shit. And then one of my buddies like, oh, well, check this version out, and it was the original Japanese with Spanish subs, and I thought that was weird because neither of us spoke Spanish. If you're just watching it, it is what it is. And the music was different. The voice is very different, as they always are this, but the game I'm playing was a very American game.
I'm sorry, dude, Spanish dub? Like what? Puta mi madre.
Well,
you see a lot of those, actually. You see a lot of Spanish subtitles in hentai nowadays. It's funny.
Yeah,
it
sub
is
and dubbed. Like, that's my favorite way to watch an anime I've already watched before, is just to see what languages they allow it in. And, oh my god, I think French and Spanish, I think, are the funniest.
Oui, oui.
Wow.
But yeah, like this game has it where you can set it up where it's in all kinds of languages, but it's just the type you read. And I'm like, well, considering how much all this makes sense, I could put it in select random language and go from there. But like I said, this is a very normie game, and it's very low budget. But they try to get you to spend, because they've got the microtransactions.
Of course, mobile game
microtrans.
Sorry to jump the gun on this, but I gotta bring it up because it has to do with the sound. And you can get different packs, and they're like, I think the cheapest one's $20.
That is stupid.
Fuck that noise.
$20 for a sound pack.
You also get some different pictures, and there's a special girl that comes with it where she is a DJ.
Okay, that's a little more understandable.
Wah!
No. You think that's
Christ.
bullshit? One of the other games I play, which is not a XXX title, wants you to spend $100 on a package just to get some chance for cards and a bunch of other points.
I'm sorry, but if I was playing a mobile porn game, if I'm going to spend $20 on it for a pack or whatever, it better take me to Fat Factor 6 real quick.
I think with microtransactions like that, at that point, they're just trying to insult the intelligence of whoever's playing the game.
I know. If I wanted to, see a booty shake and drop $20 on it, I'll just go to a strip club.
Yeah.
Well,
At that
for that,
point,
we'd
you're
have to
getting
go to Portland.
At least, if I go to a strip club, whoever I give the money to will turn around and say thank you.
And, all the local economy that goes with that as well.
Truth.
You're helping people actually live in this godforsaken, wretched world.
No, if you do
I'm
that,
helping
you're.
people, but I'm also buying baby formula at the same time, so I'm doing a good deed.
I think
Or tipping the dealer.
all the money doesn't go to their living so much as it just goes straight into the pockets of the Armenian mob.
Shh, we don't talk about the Armenians here.
You should know better, comrade.
I think they have a problem with the word comrade.
They do.
Little bit.
Let's talk about their history with Turkey and Ukraine. So,
Yeah.
we're off
rather
topic.
not. But back to XXX titles.
Back
That
to
covers my
XXX.
review. So,
Okay.
Goblin, you're up. What's our
Okay,
next?
so next category is story/writing.
ha.
Yeah, I know. Hey, I know we're reviewing porn games, but if we were doing legit reviews of other games, this would be a topic we'd have to cover. Fortunately for me, this game does have an excellent story, and it does have excellent writing. I have a feeling that the author who wrote all of this down within recent history and is still in their brain somewhere has taken poli-sci and history, and maybe a touch of psychology. I think they went for the non-STEM classes. But it shows, as previously mentioned, Celia, she has a very well-developed personality. I mean, at first she comes off as Frost Princess, and you get more and more lewd with her, of course, thanks to Special Serum X.
XX.
XXX. Celia is really well-written, and as you get to know her non-sexually in the game, you also learn why she is the way she is. And the same goes for the roommate situation, because you start off as a janitor working in socialist utopia, and you're living with a college-age girl and your landlady, she kind of has that facial features to why, 'cause again, graphics going into this, the character models were selected really well in most cases. There's a couple of them where I'm just no, I hate this bitch. There's one you encounter later on. I have no remorse whatsoever. Zero remorse for, pouring the blue brain alteration juice down her fucking mouth and then throwing her into the super bimbo making machine. Because she's not really well written. She's kind of a very thin, vapid character, and she's just there as a fuck toy, really. But most of them, I'd say 75% of the characters in this game are really well written. They all have backstories. They all have some reason why they are in the story. And 75% of the game has really strong writing to it. And again, it goes with that oppressive feeling. You start off as a janitor because you pissed someone off.
Done fucked up.
You're in a socialist utopia, but you pissed off somebody else who's more powerful than you, which is why you have access to a laboratory, because you're a janitor at one, and you start making the super mind fuck serum, and immediately do what any person would do in this situation. Start giving it to other people to better your position.
You're on the wrong side of history, Goblin. That is sexist.
You know what? the protagonist is obviously a dude, but I mean, just with a little bit of squinting and you tilt your head to the side, it can be a chick too. That's one of the few downfalls of this game, is that actually, going on that topic, is you do not get to pick your protagonist. You play the silent protagonist, but it is obviously established right out of the gate, you're a dude working at a laboratory, and when the KGB, not KGB people show up, they're all chicks. Your boss is a chick, your landlady's a chick, your roommate's a chick, the gal who runs the warehouse that you have the super bimbo making machine is a chick. You could turn this into a bimbo fantasy or a lesbian fantasy really easy if they just gave you the choice to choose your protagonist. But you're a dude running, it's just kind of weird. That's kind of one of the points where the writing falls off.
Yeah.
It's just, those things don't really make much sense. However, most of the writing, especially for the characters themselves, is very strong, 75% of the time. Like, not KGB lady, who comes to investigate you. Really strong writing. You learn more about her. She's got a sister also in the game that lives locally near you. And you can sit around and talk with them. The writing on that's about 50-50. Sometimes it's strong, sometimes it's not. But with some of the main first characters you run into, part of the writing is you learn that these characters all have very well-developed personalities.
And then you fuck them.
Actually, to find out about their personalities, you actually have to drug them and make them more compliant to your suggestion before you find out more about them on a personal level and a sexual level. This game is like an onion. It has layers. So when I'm talking about a personal level, it's not just between the sheets personal. But yes, there is that.
Somebody once told me.
Exactly. But yeah, as far as story and writing goes, this game, I would say compared to other games of the same genre that are independently made, the writing is stronger than most of them.
Can I ask you one thing just because you brought up psychology?
Yes.
At any point in the game, does the word cognitive dissonance come up?
No, but I think it should.
Oh, thank God, because I swear to God, anytime I see the word or the term cognitive dissonance in anything ever, that just screams to me the writer took one semester of a psychology class.
Yeah.
And then did not follow through.
Yeah. The writing on this one, though, compared to other games that are independently made of the same genre, using the Ren'Py engine with Poser or Daz 3D, I think it was Daz 3D, as the graphics side of it, most of them are just get right in there and start fucking. This one actually, get right in there and just start slapping uglies together. This one, however, doesn't do that. It actually builds up to it slowly. Like, you go through all of these women taking your time, and you get to know them. You go out on dates with them, or have coffee, and you slip them the drink, and they get more compliant, and you learn more about them. Which is part of the reason why I think the writing was really good in this. Is I felt bad about dosing Celia, and I actually took ownership of her on a level no, she's mine. I did this to her. You can't do anything bad to her. I've done enough. I'm going to take care of her because she's my little bunny now, okay? She's broken, but I could try to fix her, just I don't know what it was, dude.
She's your broken little fuck toy.
Well, yeah, I did mind break her, but at the same time, I felt guilty about it. I felt really bad, so when the game opens up the cotton candy bimbo making machine, I was like, no, she's not going in that. No. She's going to stay home, and I'm going to put a blanket over her, and she's going to have some hot cocoa.
She can sit there, be pretty, and be wifey. And that's as good as it's going to be for her.
Well, not even just wifey, It's just I felt too guilty for that. But later on, there's another gal you run into, and it's like, you, bitch, in the machine. I don't care what happens to you. You can come out looking like cotton candy covered in blood fro-like hair. Just get in there. But Celia, I was like, she was written well enough that I actually because she does have an established personality. And I think that's actually one of the things that the game does well is the writing. And apart from the other games of the same genre made by authors doing similar stuff, I'm going to have to give this one a solid 4.
Out of what?
Out of 5.
Okay.
4 out of 5. Solid. Yeah, I was actually pleasantly surprised. And the only reason it stood out to me is because I found it on 2 different sites linked by the same author. So I was like, well, shit. If they're trying to get people to see it and they're promoting it, why not take a look? I'm glad I did.
All right.
Because for a porn game, yes, it was FAP-worthy. But on the other hand, it also had enough immersion that it just lured me in for a few extra hours that I did not expect. Yeah, it was surprisingly good.
Nice.
For a porn game. It was about half a chub. Some of the sex scenes were pretty slow, repetitive, but the writing was on point. Kaz, on to you.
Well, given as this is a text-based game, most of the writing, and yes, it's through a translation, so the translation has minor errors like minor plurality differences, like, words that have an extra S or missing one. It's minor in the grand scheme of things, since it's an aftermarket English mod to make it playable, since it's a dialogue kind of based game. The writing on it is a little unusual in that the protagonist doesn't quite... So the protagonist starts by getting a vision of a goddess who's like an angel of some nature. apparently some big mucky muck on that scale. And there's an entire, like, subcontinent that's devoted to her to the point where it's got her name on the continent. The towns have her name at the front. Ilias or some shit like that. And opening scene is a vision with her. You can do great things. You can be the next person, the next true hero that beats a demon lord or a monster lord. All that stuff.
Yeah, you can beat a monster lord?
Well, you're supposed to slay it, because apparently she has a powerful hatred for all things monster.
Well, if it's a demon lord, be sure to use both hands.
You're given a little sword from the previous, some interaction with the previous townsfolk. You've spent your life doing training with it. You go on, your first monster is a slime, and you basically just beat it by flailing wildly at it. And it's trying to suck you off.
You beat the slime by flailing at it.
Yeah, there's not exactly much in the way of story for that first fight.
Okay, I appreciate the wording.
This is your superpower. You flail.
Yeah, pretty much. However, afterwards, shortly after that fight, you meet a very powerful Lamia who basically just gets cannon shot to the ground from presumably a fight with Ilias. She has a long name. She calls herself Alice just to make it simpler for you. But I have this little suspicion that she, this tsundere kind of wants to just travel with you for the sake of having a traveling companion, and you're vaguely interesting enough as a 12-year-old boy.
Jesus Christ, this game...
What?
The more you describe the game, the more fucked up it sounds.
Hold up. Monster girls, and you're a Shota, basically? You're a little boy?
Functionally.
Wow.
Holy shit, dude. You are, really skirting the edge of legalities here. I don't know if we can air your segments.
It's a Japanese game. They have different rules. That's all I can say.
We're in America. We speak American.
Well, continuing. So you wind up with this traveling companion who is ridiculously powerful and kind of like this mixture between your mentor early warning system, because whenever a fight shows up, she's gone. Fuck this shit, I'm out. Foot. No fighting, doesn't want any part of it. She'll step in a couple of strategic times when there is literally zero possibility of you winning. But other than that, hands off, doesn't give a shit, doesn't matter. All the rest of it is all just bizarre development along a story arc. I haven't gotten too far into it. I've only had the chance to play for several hours, really with any depth to it. But one of the early quests is, townsfolk are scared of these 4 bandits that are just kids. They're like 6-year-olds. 6-year-old monster girls. They try, but a lot of that fight is literally you just kind of pick them up by the head and be like, no.
Hello, FBI.
Yeah, it's like, no, kid, no, go away. This is not how this works, kid. So, that's one of the earliest quests. After that, there's actually a half an ass of story as you progress. And it seems like it's well written. The characters have enough depth to feel like it's, actually got some meaning. The Harpy village is basically just trying to survive since the neighboring village has menfolk, and Harpies are likely to go extinct if they can't have sex. Gee, I wonder why. This is a pretty common trend. It's a very overarching theme.
Now, hold on. Are these Harpies, do they have multicolored hair? Is there a leader named Big Red?
No.
Do they come with problem glasses?
Nope.
Okay.
Mostly just wing arms, featherweight bodies, type of shit.
Now, the one question I kind of have sitting on the back of my mind at the moment, do the Harpies, when you show up and you do battle with them, do they give you a beak job?
I haven't come across one that does yet. Mostly feet and pussy.
Because, okay, Harpy feet, okay, ow.
It's like little bird claws.
Well, I'm just imagining, what most waterfowl, the inside of their tongue looks like, with all those ridges and barbs.
Yeah, you ever seen the inside of a penguin's mouth?
Or
Scary.
a duck?
Yeah.
Yeah, scary.
Well, they're still mostly humanized. Almost all of these, there's a slime, there's a slug. Yes, it's a fucking slug that you can fuck. There's plants, anything that you can imagine as far as, monsters of any nature. It's a girl, it's after your dick.
Anything you can
Blasphemous
imagine
is over here just shaking his head.
Anything you can imagine sticking your dick in, you can do it.
When most of us found these games, we were in that age where you first find out that it's not just a utilitarian tool. It's multi-purposed. And just, wow. What the... Wow.
Okay, Kaz, in the game you're playing, age may be a number, but 911 is a number 2.
Well, considering as one of those characters is well over 800 years old.
Yeah, but it ain't your character.
No, it ain't! No, it ain't!
I think we've had enough. We're going to just move straight on to Moniker now.
Story? It's pretty surface level. There's not much in depth. Like I said, it's just your faceless, nameless protagonist on
Fancy beach island.
Yeah, on best case scenario island. And, you show up and help out in the kitchen twice, compliment her eyes, and then all of a sudden, she just spreads them. There's the story.
Yeah, that's pretty typical of a porn game.
Yeah. And the second one, which was actually kind of funny because, you're the CEO, this bitch from your past, says, hey, aren't you the janitor? I want a job here, and I'm probably going to get a better pay raise than you. He gets all indignant, and then he calls on his secretary, and he's like, I'm all pouty. Secretary, get in here, I need you to do that thing for me. And then it just cuts to fucking.
Wait, so you play as Bill Clinton?
There weren't any pudding pops in this game.
He
Or
did
any
not
sweaters.
have sexual relations with that woman.
What the definition of is.
Hey, this game did not go full Pizzagate like Kaz's game.
It's a weird game, I'll give it that.
Yeah, I'm just gonna have to cut in here. So in my game's story, kiddie pools are far deeper than this game. Like, they try to give the female characters, personality, their likes, their dislikes, that kind of stuff. But that's about as deep as it goes. I think the most storyline part is that two of the girls in there, one of them, a French tourist, she actually has a bit of story to her and stuff, a little bit when you talk to her. The only other character who has any real depth to them is the female police officer. Which is funny because they're two diametrically opposed personalities, so I find this hilarious. But yeah, this is best case scenario island, where you're just walking around and the stewardess hits on you from the flight. This female cop in a club starts hitting on you. Oh, you go to your hotel and you meet this French girl. You're in the park and you meet this local girl. And this is like, oh, wow, this is interesting. But
Real life never works like this.
Oh, God, no. Well, not for us.
Which is why we played these games, for your enjoyment. Because, yes, I will leave links to them if you sick listeners want to try.
You have to email us.
Okay, well, email us then. Yeah, because some of the sites that I found mine on are kind of not right.
Yeah, don't link that on YouTube or iTunes or any of that. But,
Yeah.
overall storyline, they try to give the female characters background and stuff, but that's really about it. There's no other major storyline other than you're just walking around the island, you keep running into them and quote-unquote go on a walk.
Go on a walk.
But,
wow.
yeah, that's it. Like, there's not even really suggestive stuff that goes on. It's not like, oh, well, you gotta meet them here. The big goal in this game, as far as I can tell, is to make it to the beach, which is the final level, I guess, the last area you can open. And, that's just where it's gonna be them in bikinis, and that's really gonna be it. Like, this game is super shallow and normie-friendly,
I think if you're going into a porn game looking for good story, unless you're Goblin, 99% of the time, you're probably going to be disappointed.
Actually, the one that I stumbled... There's, this one, Takeover, has a great story to it, I'll say, compared to some of the other games. It's 75% better than average.
Okay.
I mean, it does have a few pitfalls here and there, a few potholes that you're going to run over. But overall, it's a terrific game. There's a couple of others that have a pretty good story. And like you just mentioned, though, most of them, you're walking in the best case scenario island, and it's just, yeah.
Yeah.
Where, when, and how far do you have to go to get fucked?
It's basically like a porn, but you're the pizza guy showing up the door, and most of these games, you have a chance to fail, getting time with the slutty MILF.
Whatever happened to that? That whole genre just seemed to have dropped off at, the end of the 80s.
Because people realize that the wall is real.
No shit. It's just one of those things with all these games is the story, if you find one with a good story, then people actually put time and effort into making it. It usually took a long time, and maybe a generation or two out of date, but a lot of them are just best case scenario, here's some suggestive images, wank until you're done.
The spoiler warning for this one is it comes in 2 acts. And Act 1 is, you're the janitor dude getting basically revenge on people for being treated like a fucking poor schmuck, right? I mean, you're in the lowest fucking position. You're on worst case scenario island. And actually, I'm going to use this as a segue to the next segment, which is gameplay. And as far as gameplay is concerned, even more oppressive is there's a suspicion meter.
A suspicion meter.
Yeah, if you don't go to work on time, you get a little bit more suspicion. The more you run around dosing people to make them more compliant to follow you, the more your suspicion meter goes up. And if it goes up high enough, suddenly not KGB agents will show up at your door and ransack your house. And if you're not careful about where you hide your chemicals and supplies, it's game over. Straight to gulag, man, so it is oppressive as fuck.
I'm sensing a lot of inspiration from Papers, Please from this game.
It probably
definitely seems like it's got that kind of feel.
Yeah, so it's got a
Glory to Stotska.
Mm-hmm. It definitely has that as far as the gameplay value to it. It's you got the sound of the music, the piano music, which is very calm.
The hills are alive.
The
The
hills
sound
are-
of music.
The sound of reckoning. I am the Batman now. I broke you. Anyway, look with the graphics, the tone of the graphics, and all of that, the gameplay is oppressive as fuck. And then the second act, unfortunately, is where the entire game just falls the fuck apart, as far as gameplay goes. Because before that, it's pretty grindy. You go home, you dose your roommates or whatever, or you just go to bed, or you go through the storyline ever so slowly, trying to open up new people to talk to. Meanwhile, you have the not KGB lady who's basically blackmailing you to supply her as well, so she can do her own secret not KGB things in the background that you have no clue what she's doing. But in exchange, she won't tell the not KGB agents that you're running around dosing women to turn them into sex bunnies. And then the second act is where and of course this falls into the whole pendulum thing, because you're in a socialist utopia, there's suspicion all over the place, somebody reports you, not KGB agents show up, and they give you the gift of one trip to the gulag and a game over screen. Then you get to the second act, and this is where things fall apart, because it's so underdeveloped right now, there's just too much shit too quick. You basically dose, spoiler warning, you dose the head of the not KGB, and your not KGB lady liaison decides it's time to turn the country into a more free and open country, which is where the pendulum swings wildly 180 the other way, and she basically wants everybody running around naked at all times on the streets, and I'm like, isn't there a mid option here? But you're supposed to finance secret bunkers, still go to your day job for some fucked up reason, still manage your harem basically, still go out and collect more women to brainwash to be your soldiers for the new
and upcoming war.
As special agents and shit like that.
Hey, someone has to clean up all that spooge.
Somebody does. But it's like the pendulum is going to swing 180 degrees for the social revolution. It's all sexual revolution. And it's like, whoa, that's too much too fast. And there's just so much crap you have to do in the second act, right out of the gate. They're like, well, here's your base, and here's all the items you got, and here's all the things you need to buy. And it's like, I'm just here to give roofies to my landlady. And that's where it just starts to fall apart. Speaking of landlady, oh my gods. You enter your name in the beginning of the game, whatever you want your main character to be called, which is closest you have to selecting your character. But your younger roommate and your landlady always continue to call you roomie or roommate. They never default to the name that you entered. So
What name did you enter?
It wouldn't matter. It literally wouldn't matter.
It doesn't matter. They call you roommate.
Because I have an awesome name for a porn protagonist.
Alright, so what is your porn name there?
It has to be a pirate game. I know this is specific.
Long Dong Silver. Yeah, pirate game.
It's close. Long Schlong Fill Her.
Hiya.
Jeez, I'm crow, bro.
Your mom's going to listen to this. Anyway.
Hi, Moniker's mom.
Hi, Moniker's mom.
Greetings.
But as far as gameplay goes, it's not overly grindy. It's just grindy enough to keep you going. The story, of course, keeps you going because you want to find out more after investing your first hour. Within the first hour, you're going to know whether you're going to want to play it more or not. But after you make it past that first hour hurdle, the grindiness doesn't really weigh down on you too much because there's enough stuff on the sidelines to do. You got to go to this location. You got to go to the hospital and try to talk to this person, or not KGB agent lady's daughter is in the park on Saturdays, and the best time to go try to infiltrate not KGB lady's inner circle is to go to the park on Saturday. So there's a bunch of little side diversions you can encounter, so the gameplay actually is not too bad. Not like this game called Superpowered, which is so fucking super grindy. The concept is great, but grindiness makes it unplayable. But with Takeover, it's just enough to keep you going, where it's not just, oh god, I'm grinding. Plus, it does have random hiccups, because paper checks. You go into work and suddenly there's a security officer going, I need to see your papers. So whatever plans you had, you formulate your plan out for the week. You might get into 1, none, 3 random checks, which will screw up your plans as to how you're going to carry out the next week. So actually, it does interrupt your momentum enough to keep you going, well shit, now I gotta play for another week to be able to launch off this plan to go to the hospital and get another contact.
True. But what happens in the world of underage monster stuff?
Yeah, what happens over there, you Shota?
Such a weird game. So, when they're introducing combat...
Colonel.
Yes. There's
a 12-year-old boy fighting slime girls. What do we do?
This wasn't in the dossier you gave me about child soldiers, Colonel. What did you sign me up for?
What is this, the anime version of Coney 2012?
Well, gameplay is very linear. It's very scripted. That's all I can say. Even if you fight the monsters naturally, you will probably win as long as you're not being a total dipwad. And the fights will typically involve you getting at least a little bit.
And you guys were concerned about me slipping roofies.
We do not condone or any non-consensual acts between people, age or otherwise.
That is the critical and all-important
all
point
the
of this.
Fucking words you could use.
Dude, this episode's gonna come back to crucify us.
These are triple X reviews.
These are triple X reviews, not triple X hi Mr. FBI agent reviews.
Mr. or Mrs. FBI agent.
It's true.
Because we can only hope to live in our best world.
Cathal.
Carrying on. You're given options like fight, guard, special, surrender, wait. You can literally just wait a turn doing fuck all. Yeah, and that's about it. There's not much left there.
Is it wait or wank?
It's wait.
You're
You're literally just waiting time. But I'm gonna pass the buck here.
Who? Slug girl!
Carry on.
I've seen that meme.
Moniker on you.
What's the topic?
Gameplay.
Oh, okay, here's gameplay. Point, click, done.
Oh god, that was
Blasphemous.
easy.
Okay, you thought yours was bad? Alright, you've got either the I'm totally going to guess the answer, or in the other portion of gameplay, alright, I need to get all the green ones together because that's what they like. No, wait, wrong character. This chick likes all the blue ones. That is the total amount of gameplay. Each of the colors of the puzzle pieces represents a different personality trait, so you gotta pick the right personality traits that they like, which you find out through asking them questions. It mainly goes into what's your favorite colors, where you find out, stuff like that. And it shows on the little things. You can click on their profile. And it says, alright, they really like the police officer chick. She likes the super passionate one, the aggressive symbol, which is red little diamond looking. She really hates the green ones, which are humor. Blue ones are intellect, shit like that. And that's the extent of gameplay, is color matching and guessing at the answer. So, but considering we've gotten to that, I know you might have another topic or two, but just so we give them less evidence for when they take us all in, I think we might want to do a wrap-up right there, so...
Okay, so wrap-up, I'm just going to give a replay value score and a final score on this game overall compared to other games of the same genre that I found on a couple of websites. I'm going to say replay value is definitely a 3 out of 5.
Mm-hmm.
It's good for more than one playthrough because you can make choices throughout the gameplay which will alter things drastically as you go down the line. It doesn't just loop back on itself, so your forked path isn't really a fork. It's just which side of the street am I walking on? No, these choices will radically alter the game, so it has some replay value to it. I will say 3 out of 5. And overall, compared to other games, I will definitely give Takeover a solid 4 out of 5 stars.
Replayability, there is a lot of choice, not just in how you deal with enemies, but also in how you interact with people. So there is a lot of option for replayability. I would give that easily a 4 or 5, given that there's a choice point for every monster. And there's a lot of them so far. I haven't finished it, so I don't know how deep the story goes, but I can kind of guess. Beyond that, it's a fun game if the weird and the unusual are part of your kink set. If not, probably not what you're after.
I don't know. Out of all the games that I was able to view on various sites, and some of them were very questionable, none of them involved Shota. I feel suddenly morally superior playing a porn game that had
No underage issues?
that had no little thing on there that said all the actors in this are depicted as being over 18. Because all of mine were obviously over 18.
Moniker?
I don't know. I mean, the first game I played in, which honestly I think was a more impressive one, was an unfinished game. So replayability, pretty low. I'll go with like a 2. But that said, the illustrations were pretty nice. I liked those a lot. So, you know, if you want to see those again, I'll give the game like a solid 2.5 out of 5. It's fine.
For replayability, all I have to say is, it is the bullshit that never ends. It just goes on and on, my friends.
Dude, you were playing it during this podcast.
Yes, because I was trying to get farther along to have more to review about it, because literally all I gave was pretty much me saying the same shit about how fucking bullshit it was. And I wanted to try and do something different than y'all, and just so we could have some added aspect here. But, like, if you want to waste time, sure, but replayability, it never ends. So I'm going to say replayability at like a 1. Overall, considering the effort or lack thereof put into it, I'd give the game like a 2.5 stars.
Woo! I got best
But
game.
overall, say appeal rating, which I want to do as our final thought, I'm going to say this game has an appeal rating of 1 star out of 5.
Well, out of appeal, I have to give this one a 5 out of 5. It's must play for this genre. You got to try it out because it is definitely a step above the rest of the competition.
Certainly the ones we've been reviewing. I would give it a conditional. If you like, monster girls in whatever manner, it's a fun game. If that's not already in your wheelhouse, pass it.
However many times you can replay it before the feds show up, that's its replayability score.
So, what would your score then be, Kaz? Out of 5. Overall, how much... I don't care if it's a specialized fetish or not. If you have this fetish, what rank is it 1 out of 5? 0 to 5.
If you have it, it's a 4. If you don't already have it and aren't feeling adventurous enough for it, then it's a, 2.
Alright, Moniker,
how it is.
Final thought is yours.
My game, it's average. It's average.
So what, 3 out of 5?
Yeah, 2.5 out of 5. It's fun. Again, not to repeat myself, but really the biggest strength this game had for it was its illustrations and its art style. And I guess, if you're like me and you just find, the musical direction of most dating sims or text adventure stories from the land of the great Nihon to be enjoyable, then I guess you'll get something out of that too. But it's an unfinished product, so it's fine. And now we're gonna have, as promised, the live jerk-off by Goblin.
That's right. Too late, dude. I'm done.
Damn it.
Alright, well this is Darth Blasphemous signing off.
Game-Goblin out.
Kazurkan, back to the skies.
Moniker, see ya.
Colonel, I've come to the conclusion Agenda 21's the only way to save the Earth from Metal Gear.